Nevada Program Director, and we are recording. I'm based in Reno in the north and love to get outside and enjoy Nevada's abundant sunshine, and really am passionate about creating a clean energy future for all, and doing that through rooftop solar. So some of you may or may not be familiar with Solar United Neighbors. We got started in Nevada very recently, actually this past September, but we work in 13 states plus Puerto Rico and DC, and engage folks at a local, state, and federal level to advocate for rooftop solar. Since 2007, we have helped over 9,000 households go solar through our bulk purchase program. And in that process, we do a lot of education around consumer protection and utility accountability. We also have a national solar help desk where people can reach out to set up an appointment or send a question that they have regarding their solar system, or how to go solar, or maybe it's an issue that's come up. Essentially, any question that you might have, we are here to help. So you can find that on our website, which I will link to a little bit later in our presentation. And we believe three core tenets, you could say. We believe that everyone has the right to produce and use their own solar energy, and that people should receive a fair credit for the energy they produce, and what they are sending to the grid. And that there should not be discriminatory utility fees and rate design. So we're really aware of that, and want to be mindful of that at a local, but also a state level. All right, we're going to get right into it. So, the first piece of legislation that we are watching is SB 132, and this is called the Clean Energy Investment, and sponsored by Senator Wynn, the Vice Chair of Finance. And this is a $5 million appropriation for the Nevada Clean Energy Fund to support their work in helping everyday Nevadans access clean energy solutions. They provide both financing and technical assistance around solar and other energy efficiency technologies. I think it's important to note here that NSEF received $1 million in state funding in 2023, and with that, they were able to secure $200 million in federal grants and private capital, which really demonstrates, I think, NSEF's ability to multiply the impact of state dollars while creating tangible benefits for Nevadan communities. We see this also as an opportunity to support their Solar for All programming. NSEF received $156 million in federal funding for Solar for All, and this really is part of just supporting them in doing their good work. So we will be advocating for this in the legislature, and one of the ways that you can take action is you can contact your representative and ask them to support this bill, and also share why it is important to you. We're going to go ahead and wait on questions until we move through all of the bills, if that sounds good to everyone. All right, so the next bill is AB 458, Solar Powered Affordable Housing. This actually had a hearing today, and so it's very relevant. AB 458 allows solar to be installed on individually metered buildings of regulated affordable housing properties. So currently, in state law, this is not possible, and this would enable low low-income communities to be able to access solar savings. So savings from one system would flow directly to multiple tenants through a process known as virtual net metering, and these savings would show up as a credit on tenants' utility bills. Thanks, Jack, for joining us. And we really see this bill as making solar for all programming possible because there's a large population that right now doesn't have access to it. And this bill expands that access. Um, and we feel strongly at Sun that everyone should be able to benefit from the sun's rays. And I think what's also important to note here is that tenants will see really meaningful savings of at least 20%. And you'll also see that for developers and owners of these affordable housing complexes, they'll see some reduced energy costs for those common area spaces as well. So there's some good incentives there. All right, AB 452 on fuel cost sharing. So this is sponsored by Teresa Brown May and is also coming through the Growth and Infrastructure Committee. Currently in Nevada, NV Energy passes all of their fuel costs on to customers without bearing any financial risk when prices spike. There's no financial incentive to reduce fuel costs, and so no protection for ratepayers. And AB 452 would address this imbalance by requiring NV Energy to share in the financial risk of its fuel purchasing decisions. It would establish a strong incentive system, so when fuel costs exceed established thresholds, NV Energy would absorb a meaningful portion of those excessive costs rather than automatically passing them to ratepayers. And vice versa, when the utility achieves savings through strategic purchasing and diversification, maybe less natural gas, it would retain part of those savings as a reward for good management. So we see this bill as really protecting consumers and also contributing towards stabilizing utility bills. We know that Nevada has some of the highest utility rates out there. I think we're ninth in the nation. And we'll keep going. And I think we have someone in the waiting room, Jasmine, if you want to go ahead and add them. Wonderful. Welcome, Jeff. And then the other thing that we at Sun really care about is utility accountability. We believe in parameters. We believe that utilities can spend money on advertising, charitable giving, and political activities, but they just need to be using investor dollars rather than ratepayer dollars. So we will definitely advocate for any bills that are speaking to utility accountability and focusing on transparency about how these ratepayer funds are used. I'm going to go ahead and just pause there and see if we have any questions about the four different priorities that we've just talked about. All right, well, don't hesitate to use the chat. We will keep going. I wanted to just include a slide on using Nellis. It might be that folks are really familiar with Nellis, but this is Nevada's legislative information system, and it's pretty accessible. So you can actually create an account on Nellis, track bills, and also indicate your support or opposition by searching for that particular bill and signing into it. And you can share your opinion and share why they should be supporting this bill. So I really want to encourage you all to use this. It's a great way of making your voice heard if you're not able to come down to the legislature or even call in. So just want to uplift that. And if you have any questions about that, happy to talk through that as well right now. All right. So moving on to talking about the Public Utility Commission of Nevada. So just a basic overview. The Public Utility Commission of Nevada regulates Nevada's investor-owned utilities, and they're concerned with reliability and affordability. They're always trying to balance the interests between customers and shareholders. What we are seeing is that there is an upcoming NV Energy rate case in which NV Energy is seeking to change the netting period from monthly to a 15-minute period, as well as instituting a mandatory demand charge for all residential and business consumers. Um, and I'll just say a little bit more about the impact here. So essentially, with the netting period changing, we're introducing a lot of uncertainty into what a prospective solar owner can imagine for their payback period and how many credits they're banking that they can use later on their bill. So we know that consumption can vary dramatically depending on what you're using at that time. And by changing that window, it really affects what kind of credits we're going to see. So there's a big impact to prospective solar owners because we know that people are trying to look at what the payback period is for their system when they're evaluating if it makes sense to go solar. And then for the demand charge, this would be based upon the maximum amount of power required over a specific period of time in a given month. And then the cost for that specific period of time would be added to customers' bills and bills in addition. So this can lead to dramatically higher bills overall. And we see this as really not an effective way of addressing peak demand. There's other ways of doing that, like time of use rates, and even looking at more demand side management options. Another thing to note is NV Energy is seeking nearly a $216 million rate increase. So that's more than double its last request in 2023. And likely, I think the consumer sessions for this have just been scheduled in June 4th. So it's really important that we speak out about this and the impact that it may have for people's utility bills, but also for prospective solar owners. So I would really encourage you, if you haven't already, sign up for solarunitedneighbors.org to receive our emails, which includes action alerts. If you are interested in writing a letter to the editor, we'd love to chat with you about that and can help shape your story. And then also you can submit written comments for this docket, and we can also walk you through that process. You can also share oral comments by showing up at that consumer session in June. And again, if you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to ask. Yes, Richard, great question. I just saw that in the chat. We will be sending out a recording of this, and those slides will be accessible in that recording. So we are going to move on and talk now about the federal landscape. So many of you might be familiar with the Inflation Reduction Act, which appropriates more than $369 billion for energy and climate initiatives. This extended and expanded federal tax credits. It also included $27 billion of for the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which includes Solar for All funding. And remember that Nevada Clean Energy Fund received $156 million, which was actually the highest per capita award for any state. That also includes $4.6 billion in funding for state climate action plan implementation, $3 billion in environmental and climate justice block grants, and $1 billion in Rural Energy for America REAP grants, and more that I am not going to mention. What it really feels, important to talk about tonight is the 30% residential solar investment tax credit, which is otherwise known as 25D, as well as direct pay, which allows organizations and other entities that don't have tax liability to access that 30% tax credit, as well as REAP funding and Solar for All. So these are the issues that SUN really cares about, and we want to advocate for these programs so that they will not go away, because they are good for the economy, they are good for everyday Nevadans, and they create really meaningful and well-paying jobs. And it's very likely that this vote will happen in April as part of the budget reconciliation process. So our strategy to protect these programs is to be putting constituent pressure on key House and Senate Republicans. We are inviting and encouraging solar owners and supporters to share their personal stories and have in-district meetings. And we're happy to help people coordinate that and prepare for that. We have a lot of great messaging and are really here to walk people through that process. We also know that there are other ways you can use your voice: by calling your representative, by posting on social media, by contacting them through email or a personalized letter. And we've actually already met with Representative Amodei, who is a key target of these Republicans. Myself and 3 other solar owners were able to talk to one of his staffers and ask for his support for these programs, and specifically to also ask leadership to support these programs. This is just a little bit of information on Amodei, but also contacting any of your representatives is really important. So we want to emphasize that as well. So the ask that we are inviting you into is to specifically advocate for that residential solar tax credit, for the direct pay provision, which allows other organizations to access that same tax credit, and for the Rural Energy for America program, as well as the Solar for All program. Yes, and I've mentioned this already, but these are ways to take action, and I'll just briefly say here that in-person visits from constituents and individualized emails, individuals' letters, are really great ways of making your voice heard. This comes from a survey through the Congressional Management Foundation. 90% of representatives want to know why you care, what you want, what is that ask, and a personal story related to the issue really has a lot of impact as well. So if you can be mindful of that when you're taking action, that can really create some good impact and traction, you could say. And I'll just pause here too as well. So this QR code, if you want, you can go ahead and take a picture of it right now, and it will direct you to our website where you can write to your legislature like right now or right after you get off this meeting and speak to advocating for those specific programs that we went over. But you can also find this online. Um, so our ask for you is, can we count on you to take action during April this month? And if you do take action, we want to know about it. Please email the Nevada team at solarunitedneighbors.org of the action you took, whether that was writing your legislator, calling them, or even setting up a meeting with them, or maybe even just posting on social media. We would love to know what you did. You can also join our Nevada Solar Action Team, where we will be talking about continued strategies for protecting solar and organizing and getting more people engaged. And if you're interested in being a part of that, I would love to follow up with you. But the link is right there. And then we also have a new Nevada Facebook group for Solar United Neighbors where we post probably like once a week max, just updates, relevant articles, anything that we're up to. We have some events that are upcoming, like we have a Las Vegas event on Thursday, actually at Huddle Brewing, where we will be connecting with solar owners and sharing a little bit about what we're up to in our program, as well as talking about some of these legislative priorities. And we also have a follow-up email that we will send to you with the recording of tonight, which will include those slides. And I know it's a lot of information, so I'm also happy to have one-on-one conversations if that's helpful too. I'm going to go ahead and pause there and see if anyone has any initial questions. All right. Well, we do have a poll that we would like to close on, but before that, I'm wondering if we can also enter into the chat just how did you hear about tonight's presentation? Whether that be you got an email or you maybe saw it even on as an ad on Facebook, or you heard about it through a friend or a partner organization directed you. If you can just quickly add to the chat, that would be great. We'll just give people a couple of minutes to add that. and pull up Jasmine. Is our tech support tonight, and she's going to go ahead and pull up a poll. It's a very short poll. It'll probably just take a few minutes to fill out, but it's really helpful for us to just have a little bit more information from you all. So Jasmine, if you want to pull that up.
I would love to pull that up, Julia. However, it's not showing up here, so I don't think we're going to be able to use that one tonight.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I wonder, I think we'll go ahead and maybe we'll send out some questions for you all to respond to if that's okay. Again, they're pretty brief. We also have Bob is just joining us right now. Um, well, welcome, Bob. We are coming to the end of our presentation, but you will be sent a recording of the content tonight. There will be a follow-up email that has that recording and some helpful links, as well as we'll have a short poll to fill out as well. And with that, I really just want to say thank you all for taking the time to learn about Solar United Neighbors, our work in Nevada, and these 4 legislative priorities that we have. So solar powered affordable housing, that's AB 458, which came up in growth and infrastructure today. So really important, if you care about that bill, to make your voice heard. You can contact your legislator asking them to support that. That expands solar access to affordable housing. Then also SB 132, which is being called the Clean Energy Investment, and that is a $5 million appropriation for the Nevada Clean Energy Fund to support their work. And they provide financing and also technical assistance so that people can access solar and other energy efficient technologies. And then we also are watching AB 452, which is known as fuel cost sharing, and that seeks to share the financial risk and burden when fuel costs dramatically increase, so that it's not just completely pushed onto the consumer, and that NV Energy has some stake uh, has some stake in the game. And we see this as a great way of stabilizing prices, as well as just encouraging them to make really smarter decisions with fuel costs. And then finally, we care about utility accountability and want to make sure that there is transparency with how ratepayers' funds are being used, that they should be benefiting ratepayers in terms of the services that they provide, which is affordable and reliable energy, and not paying for spa services or memberships to trade organizations. We just feel like there should be some parameters there. So again, really appreciate your time joining us tonight. I'm going to stay on just for a few minutes in case anyone does have some questions about any of the priorities we talked about. And then again, just encourage everyone to contact their representative about defending those parts of the IRA that residential tax credit, that 30% tax credit, as well as the direct pay, which allows organizations to also access that 30% tax credit, and REAP funding, which supports our rural farmers and businesses to allow them to also access solar and other energy efficiency technologies, as well as Solar for All, which we know it allows communities that have been historically disadvantaged access to solar, which makes a huge difference on utility bills. But that's all I have for you all tonight. I think we're finishing a little early, but hopefully you learned a little bit tonight. And again, I will be on here for any questions if people have them. I think we'll go ahead and stop the recording now, though.